Alright YouTube, we're here to talk about some of our basic knives that you need in the kitchen. First things first, you want to make sure you buy knives that are easily cleaned, that are food contact safe. You want to make sure that they are comfortable for you because you'll be the one using them. So make sure they feel good in your hand. In the culinary kitchen, you want to make sure they are NSF certified. Okay, that's the National Sanitation Foundation. They are the people who promote and oversee census standards for the design and construction of installation of kitchen tools. Okay, so if they're NSF certified, they'll have the initials on them. If you see it right there in the circle here, it says NSF. Okay, you want to make sure in a professional kitchen that your knives are NSF certified. Okay, without further ado, we're just going to get into 4 knives that are used a lot in culinary kitchens. Some knives that you'll be using throughout cooking in general. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is this one. This knife here is called a paring knife. Okay, a paring knife is a small knife that's held in your hand, used for cutting small objects in your hand, such as strawberries. You can use it as a peeler. I like to use it to peel potatoes. But it is a knife that you use in your hand to cut small items such as strawberries, or like a small mango or kiwi. Nothing bigger than a potato, okay, that you'll use this knife for. Okay, it has a nice long handle. The handle is longer than the actual blade. It is NSF certified. Okay, here is the tip of the knife. This is called the tip of the knife. The back top portion is called the spine. Okay, this is the handle. Okay, and like I said, this is used for cutting small objects such as strawberries or mangoes, kiwis, and things of that nature. Nothing bigger than a potato. Okay, in later videos, we'll learn how to use this knife in cutting actual product. Alright, the next knife we're going to talk about is a bony knife or a fillet knife. Okay, this knife is used for deboning chickens, filleting fish. It is a flexible knife. I'll show you how it bends, and that's why it's called a bony knife or a fillet knife, because it flexes, and it's used to go under the grooves of bones and things like that. Same concept. We have the tip of the knife here, the spine of the knife, and we have the handle. Okay. You will use this knife when we get ready to debone whole turkey. Whole chickens. Cut a fabricate chicken, or even when you're doing fish. Like I said, it's a good knife for that. Okay, and this is called a boning, B-O-N-I-N-G, or a fillet knife. All right, we're going to get to the mother of the knives. All right, this is your typical chef's knife. Okay, this chef knife is a excuse me, 9-inch blade. This is the tip of the knife here. Okay, the spine of the knife here. Okay, we have the handle. You have your cutting edge on the bottom here, and this is what you'll use to keep an edge and keep sharpened. All right, here, this black portion here, and this part of the knife here is the heel of your knife. Okay, And on the top here, you have your booster. Okay, proper way to hold a knife. Okay, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to take my right hand. I'm going to put my pointer finger on the blade here. I'm going to take my thumb here, put it on the other side. Okay, that's the first step. I'm going to take my remaining 3 fingers, and I'm going to grab the back of the knife behind the heel of the knife. Okay, so I'm going to grab my last 3 fingers, my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky are behind the heel of the knife. You can see. I'm going to put my pointer finger on one side of the blade, my thumb on the other side of the blade. And this is the proper way to hold your knife. Okay? When you're cutting whatever you're using it. When you're using your chef knife, you want to make sure you use a cutting board and the tip of your knife never leaves the cutting board when you're cutting. So I'm going to show you a quick rocking motion of the way you should properly cut product. Alright, so I have my hand positioned the way I just showed you. Proper way to hold it. Tip of the knife is down, and you go a rocking motion. Okay, notice my tip never leaves the cutting, well, this is not a cutting board, but never leaves. Okay, it rocks up and you push forward. Okay, I'm not going to do that too much here because this is my nice table. But this is a chef knife used for cutting onions, potatoes, cutting meat. It's the universal knife in the kitchen. If you've ever been in a commercial kitchen, you'll see these knives that I'm showing you today in all kitchens. But you'll see this one the most. They'll probably have more of these. And the second most they'll have is the paring knife. Okay? But like I said, this is a universal knife used for cutting produce, meats. You can also use it to cut like a cut a pizza if you don't have a pizza cutter, but it is a very universal knife. Okay, there's lots of uses for this. All right, so the next knife we have, this is a pretty long knife. This is called a serrated knife. This is called a serrated knife. It has little teeth on the bottom. This knife should never need to be sharpened because it's only going to be used for soft products. Okay, just like the other the chef knife, you have your blade down here, your cutting edge. You have your spine on the top. You have a tip of the knife. This one is rounded. Some may be pointed, but this one is rounded. You have your heel of your knife here, just like on your chef's knife, and then you have your handle. Okay, like I said, this is used for cutting soft products such as loaves of bread, tomatoes. Basically, bread and tomatoes is the most thing you can use this for. You could also use this for slicing meat, such as a pork roast or beef roast, or slicing turkey breast or something like that. So you can use that for slicing meats as well. This knife is not used like the chef knife. The chef knife, it uses a rocking motion. When you use this serrated knife, you're going to use a sawing motion. So it kind of looks like a saw. If anybody ever seen a saw, it looks like a saw. So you're going to saw at the product. Okay? If you were cutting a loaf of bread and you want to saw it because you don't want to smash your bread and make it look deformed, but you want to saw at it so you get a nice slice, whole slice. Okay? Because you don't want smashed bread. If you were cutting tomatoes, you want to saw. Okay? So you don't smash your tomatoes and all the juices run from your tomato. And that's why we use the serrated knife for soft products. Okay? This knife is perfect for slicing those things and making sure you have a nice, uniform, and presentable product. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about is a steel. Okay. This steel is used to keep an edge on your knives, your paring knife, your boning knife, and your chef knife. Okay. This is metal. Some are flat. This one is rounded. It has a handle, just like my knives. So this all came in a kit together. You use this just to keep an edge. If you want to sharpen your knife, you're going to have to use a whetstone or a knife sharpener. Okay, you can buy knife sharpeners at your, not grocery stores, but like a Walmart or something like that. You can also get them off of Amazon. You can buy the whetstones off of Amazon, and the whetstone uses a liquid, usually a oil that it sits in, and there are 3 to 4 different sides that you use on that whetstone. There's a fine, a medium, and a coarse side for your whetstone, and that just gives you an option to get a better edge on your knife. Okay, this is just used to keep the edge once it's sharpened on your knife. So you usually want to use this about 2 times a week, depending on how much you're using your knives. Okay, if you're using your knives a lot more, you want to give it a sharpen each time before you use it. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how to sharpen your knife. So I have my boning knife here. Usually you want to go about a 45-degree angle from the steel. So you can kind of justify that as far as guesstimating, okay? So I'm going to guesstimate, and you're going to sharpen both sides of your knife. So what I do is I lift mine and I hold it up, and I go down, and then I bring it to the other side and do the same thing for the other side, okay? So I go here, start at the base of the knife all the way to the tip. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and I do mine about 4 to 5 times. Just depending on what you're cutting, will depend on how many times you need to run it through. Okay, always make sure you always have that spine of your knife away from the steel, because you don't want to sharpen the spine of your knife, because then you're going to end up cutting your hand when you're using it, because of the way you're supposed to, if you're holding your knife properly. Okay, so run it 45-degree angle, both sides, a few times, and you should have a nice sharp knife. Afterwards, you want to make sure you clean it. Okay, you want to make sure you rinse it off with some hot water to get the little pieces of steel that came off during the sharpening, or the during the edging of the knife, because this is not really sharpening, just keeping the edge nice for you. Okay, you do the same thing with your paring knife. You shouldn't have to sharpen that too often, because it's going to be used with items that are fairly soft in texture. Okay, but like I said, you just run it 45-degree angle on each side to sharpen it. Now we're going to do our chef's knife, and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, chef's knives are a little bit easier to sharpen. Okay, about a 45-degree angle. Make sure you get both sides. Okay, like I said, I usually do it about 4 to 5 times on each side. Like I said, also, you should never have to sharpen your serrated knife, okay, because it's used on soft products that are shouldn't dull your knife at all. Okay, so those are the basic knives that you'll see in a commercial culinary kitchen. You have your paring knife, used for products that are small in size, such as strawberries, kiwis, nothing bigger than a potato. You have your boning or fillet knife, using for deboning chickens, fabricating chickens, or filleting fish. You have your chef's knife, It's a universal knife used in the kitchen for chopping, mincing, slicing, a lot of different products in the kitchen. And you have your your serrated knife, in which is used for slicing things such as tomatoes or fresh baked breads. Anything that is soft, that's what you'll use your serrated knife for. And then lastly, you have your steel, as used for sharpening and keeping your edge on your knives throughout the process of you having them in a culinary kitchen and using them daily. This has been a video of their basic culinary knives that you would use in a commercial kitchen.